Hey, what's up, dudes? I went to Target a few days ago, and I found this really cool stationery supply, which is these scented gel highlighters that they had up in, like, the dollar section up front, and it was $1 for a set of 2, and like the responsible adult I am, I bought all of the available colors. So, they come in 6 colors/scents, and they're by Fashion Angels, and the yellow color is popcorn scented, though I can't really smell it that well. I think it's like the weakest scent of all of them. The orange one is orange scented, no surprise there. The pink is cherry scented. The green is lime scented, the blue is blueberry scented, and the purple is vanilla scented. So I swatched them before using them, and I was surprised by how dark the orange, blue, and purple were, because obviously they're highlighters, and usually with highlighters they're supposed to like highlight things, but with the purple especially, it's a very deep purple, which, for me, is a good thing, because obviously I'm going to be doing a drawing with it, and it's good to have a range of values, but it just seemed kind of odd that it's like a highlighter wouldn't really be light enough for you to be able to see what's written underneath. So I also did some blending and layering tests to see how they'd interact with one another, and it was actually a lot better than I expected it would be, because they work a bit like a cheap oil pastel or a nicer crayon, and that's a plus for me, since those are basically 2 of my favorite mediums due to like the kind of art I enjoy doing. So I was just like, yes! And I was actually able to get pretty close to black when layering 2 of the darker colors, especially with the orange and the purple. Like, I mean, I didn't test them, like, together, but in practice, I found that those 2 were able to get, like, the darkest color I possibly could. And after testing, I jumped straight into the drawing. And I immediately knew that I wanted to do a portrait because I wanted to do something where I'd be forced to layer colors against my instincts. So I decided to go with Anna from Frozen because she has a lot of bright colors, and since she's a computer animated character, it still gave me a decent range of colors in the values to exaggerate without having to sort of make them all up myself. Because when I try out a new medium, I tend to enjoy doing stuff from reference, just so I don't end up falling back into my instinct of being like, oh, this color is used for this, and this color is used for that, and that sort of thing. And it really helps me to sort of push out of my comfort zone almost. So the first problem that I encountered was that the orange was way darker than was ideal, which I already mentioned while swatching. It was one of the darker colors. So basically I had to brush it over the paper as lightly as possible so she wouldn't end up looking like Snooki. You might have thought I was going to say Donald Trump at that point, but I didn't. Anyway, Orange Anna was basically unavoidable, because even when I was brushing it over as lightly as I was, it was still coming down pretty orange, so I ended up sort of compensating for it by adding a lot more contrast with the darks than was in my reference picture. And my other main issue, I guess, was that they were very waxy and shiny, kind of, which probably ended up messing with the footage a bit, so it's not going to show the entire like range of values and everything like I wanted it to, but whatever, it's kind of inevitable since they are more of like a non-professional art supply, and cheap oil pastels and crayons, like I mentioned, like those are both supplies that tend to be very waxy in their nature, and so this was really no exception. And now onto the things that I do like, which is significantly longer than the things that I dislike, because I really enjoyed using these. So the first thing is that they're super saturated, and it might be hard to tell on camera, but they're like really bright, but of course that's to be expected from any type of highlighter. And I love me some bright colors, boy. And another thing that I really enjoyed is that they layer really well, and I was able to constantly add pigment over the same area over and over again. And I'm personally a sucker for layering tons of color, so that was definitely a big bonus. Also, since it mimics crayon, it can get a wide range of value from one pen, jelly, whatever you call it. I guess I'll just call them jellies, because that's what they're called. But it works really well to have this trait along with the layering, because it really helps you to, up that range of values and various colors that you're able to work with. I would really recommend these to anyone who's wanting to work on their coloring or something like that, because the limited color palette forces you to use colors that you might not initially consider. For instance, I used a ton of blue in the skin shading and stuff, which is not something that you'd initially think, because when you're shading skin, your initial instinct is to reach for brown, because it's a darker version of peach is brown, or a darker version of brown is obviously still going to be brown. And I found that layering varied colors really helps to add a liveliness to the drawing, and using cheap highlighters for art in general is a really good way, in my opinion, to help you loosen up, because you're not worried about wasting material in general. I mean, like I said, it was 2 for $1, so 50 cents per jelly, as opposed to $7 for a Copic marker, definitely is going to affect how much you're willing to experiment, because with something like this, you're not really going to be worried oh, I'm gonna waste my money or anything, because if you use up the material, it's not gonna be that big of a deal, and it's not a professional art supply or anything, so it's not you could really sell it. And also, they all smell really great, and honestly, the scents were half of the reason that I bought them, because I haven't had scented art supplies since middle school, and I really like nice scented things, so I was really happy to find these. And yeah, overall, this was really fun to draw, and I'll probably use these more in the future. And now I guess I'll play some music or something until the speed portion is done. So yeah, have fun with that. Cool. So now that we're at the end of the video, I really like how the end result turned out, and I definitely like it a lot more than I expected it to. because, I mean, obviously, like I said, I've never done a drawing with these before, so it was all sort of up in the air as to how much I was going to enjoy working with them and how well they would actually work for a full drawing, and they ended up doing a lot better than I expected them to. And the biggest plus from this whole thing is that my sketchbook will smell awesome. So yeah, I think that's everything. I hope to talk to y'all soon. So yeah, adios my dudes.